Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
everyone.
Welcome to
Script.
to Screen
And today we are talking about the movie
Sinners.
Sinners.
Oh, 10 out of 10 movie in my book. 10 out of 10 movie.
I was smiling through the whole thing.
I mean, some dark things were
Yeah,
happening, but I mean, it was so good.
Yeah.
The filming, the music, the sound. Okay. All right, so we start off the movie with Sam, also known as Preacher's Boy. Is it called Preacher's Boy or Preacher's Son?
Boy.
Oh, yeah, Preacher Boy. Walking into his father's church with his broken guitar.
And we're like, what is going on? His face is all scratched out.
He's all dirty and dusty, and his dad is looking at him with desperation in his eyes. He's like, please, put down the guitar.
And his dad is like, my boy has been like sending like his music and everything, but he can be brought back into the fold.
He's like, put down the guitar, please put down the guitar. And we don't get the decision here. He's just in there shaking, holding onto those broken guitar strings. And then we get taken
one day earlier,
and we meet Smoke and Stack, who are his cousins.
And they're known as Smokestack.
Twins. They have just come from Chicago, where they came into a lot of money.
Yeah,
we don't know how.
Capone.
Yeah, and they use this money to buy an old sawmill, so they can turn it into a juke joint, dance club, dance hall.
Yeah. And they buy it from some white man, and like when they walk in, he's like, "Did y'all wash the floors recently?" And that makes me think like they killed people there before.
Yeah, that's the first thing I was thinking. And he was like, "What did he say? They cleaned it for?"
I don't remember what he said he cleaned it for, but
yeah, but he just spat on the floor and
rude,
nasty, disgusting.
But anyway, yeah.
Oh yeah, and then they say, "Are the Ku Klux Klan gonna come around after we've purchased this?" And he's like, "They don't exist no more. They exist still to this day. Everybody knows."
All right.
Okay.
Oh, and the setting is
Mississippi. I knew it was gonna be Mississippi like before it started. That's where we're originally from, Mississippi.
We were like figures.
Yep.
And what was it, Clarksdale, Mississippi?
Yeah, Clarksdale, Mississippi, which is still a place today. They are black sharecroppers that own the land that they also work on to pick cotton. We see how when they're there, they're drumming up people to work with their...
All right, this is what I wanted to talk about, like the gathering of the people that they're going to help them in the juke club and or be customers at the juke club. And like I was thinking,
so
like,
they did musicians, bouncers, cooks, and bartenders.
Yeah, when I got back, I was thinking like, dang, they brought everyone there, like that.
Everybody they know, all their friends, all their family, like those were their closest like people that they had there.
And like when they were recruiting the drunk harp player or the musician, and he had that monologue about like, I've been playing at that other bar for years. Will this place be last past today? And
no, Lord knows it doesn't. But yeah, one of the first people they get is little Sammy. They pick him up from the sharecropper field where they've been living, and he's like, and his dad is like, please don't go off with them. He does. And they have him go off with Stack, and then Smoke drives into town so that he can get a sign made. And he has this little girl watch his truck, and he's like, you can watch it for 10 cents every minute. And he's like, don't just accept 10 cents, negotiate. I really like that scene. And he goes to his friend who's an Asian. I don't know what kind of Asian.
Yeah,
Japanese,
I think
Chinese.
It was Chinese.
Was the man Japanese and she's Chinese?
I think, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure she said something about, I can't remember. I think she said something like the white devil spoke Chinese or something.
Oh yeah. He has them make a sign for him. One thing that I wanted to notice in this scene is how the little Asian girl was able to cross from the colored side of town into the white side of town where her mom was working.
Yeah. And like the dad had a store on one side and the mom had a store on the other. So
yeah, that shows how the Asians were often considered the model minority, and they're sometimes sort of allowed in white spaces, but they're never 100% accepted. Like even to this day, you'll find that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and they are and when they are accepted in the black community or whatever, sometimes they're not fully in that community either.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah. But I felt like in this movie they were far more accepted in the black community than they were in the white community.
Yeah, but when I say they're not fully in that community, it's on their side sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On their side, that they're not integrating themselves fully into they're still holding themselves apart in hopes of being accepted to the white side.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then we also meet the drunk harmonica player who at first refuses because we discussed that night only lasts the night.
His name was Delta Slim.
Delta Slim.
This was one of my favorite characters. Like,
I love him so much.
Was the person who played him, and I know I've seen him before, but I don't know his name. But he made the character so real. Like, I was like, I know this guy.
Like we could walk downtown and we could run into him. Like one of those people who go downtown and make those little palm things and stuff. Actually, a couple of years ago, there was a guy who was almost just like him playing one of the wind instruments. I don't know what it was, but yeah, very, very realistic. And he also tells how an old friend was lynched, and we hear the sounds of choking and struggling beneath his story.
I love the way they used sounds in this.
And then the way he's like humming out his pain after the end of his story, and then they tell Sam that, don't you have a blues guitar? And that's what it's for, to play your emotions.
We should also probably mention like the whole intro was like
the intro
have
discussion.
The ability to
music is so good that it can cross the veil.
Between life and death, and like some Native Americans are in tune with it, and just some people who are like really connected to music. Can pierce the veil. So that's why he brought up there that, don't you have your guitar, when he was telling that painful story, because he was like and because that's something that he can absorb within himself and like put it back into his music. And then we meet Stax X. Do you remember her name? Stax X.
A white.
Mary, I think.
The quarter black.
White.
Yes, Mary, or whatever her name was, little Mary. And we learned that he left her behind so that she would be safe and safely married to a rich white man. But we learned that she still loves him and wants to be with him. But as we can see later in the movie, she never fully understood him.
Yep. And like, this would be jumping ahead a bit.
Go ahead and jump ahead a little bit.
Because like she is the first one to go out and get turned by the vampire. So and because she's welcomed in the community, she brings that back. So
it shows how she grew up with all of these people, but she's never been 100% part of them, and that's not really on them. That's sort of on her, because she's never experienced the type of segregation or hardship that they've had.
And it's like she never really she didn't, like he was saying, I want you to go be with your husband or whatever to keep you safe, but also it would keep him safe. Like,
she doesn't understand that he's also protecting himself.
Because of her privilege, she's like, I want this, I want you, but he's like, it's not that simple.
It's not that simple. Okay. And then we meet Smoke's ex, who's a witchy woman. Anne, is it Anne or Annie?
Annie.
And that we discovered that they lost a baby before he went off to Chicago, and that her magic keeps Smoke safe when he's in danger. At the end of the movie, we see him remove this so that he can die and be with them together. But her magic was real. And I loved seeing how smart and resourceful she was.
She was like
stunning.
She was
stunning brain, stunning face.
I've seen people on Twitter calling her like the backbone of the film or whatever. And you can really see that. And like she was sort of like the person who lets everyone know what's going on, or because of things she's heard due to the practice, her magic.
Because like when the vampire first shows up, she thinks, are these haints? If you're from Mississippi or from the South, you've heard the word haints before.
You got a hand around your back.
Because I still have sleep paralysis sometimes, but like when you can't move, and you're like scared, and somebody is like, you got a haint around your back. You're like, please don't come up with this mess. But yeah, at first she thought they were Hanks, but then she threw some garlic on them and she was like, "Those vampires."
I found it so funny, like when the guardsmen
they got left outside.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about him. I was about to talk about the guy who was guarding the door. What was his name?
Cornbread.
Cornbread. I found it so funny, like when she was warning everybody not to let him in, but then he was like, when you fry stuff with your stale grease, she's like,
my grease ain't never been stale. Yeah, she got time to defend herself, and this vampire talking mess about her.
I loved how there was humor in the movie.
Like when he left his truck for that little girl to watch, and those people came up and robbed him, and he was like, "Oh, I know you!" He just shot him in the butt, and then he just shot the other guy in the knee.
And dude was like, "Get up!" He's like,
I can't help it. Yeah, I just love the humor that's in this movie. Oh yeah, when we first meet the vampire, we see him running through the closing of sunset.
Oh, I love his entrance because it looks like he falls from the sky from the way he enters the frame.
Yeah, and for some reason at this point in the movie, I had completely forgotten about vampires.
Right. I mean, we didn't really know going into this. We didn't really know what the monster would be.
Or even if we did know it was a vampire, we didn't know what type, because we know there are some that can walk in sunlight. We know there are different, But I had completely forgotten about vampires. So he was just like smoking and burning. I was like, he's been tortured somewhere. But that's just what I thought. And then he comes up on this house with this white lady. He's like, "Please let me in. These natives have been attacking me." And we see in this moment white people trusting each other over the Native Americans, because the Native Americans come up later and they're like, "We're looking for a real bad man. You don't want to have let this man into your home."
And it wasn't until the Native Americans said that I was like, "Oh, vampires," because I was like, "Oh, he just got invited in."
And he wasn't too pushy about it. He was like, "Oh well." And then all the Native Americans left, and the vampire had nibbled on the man that was in the house, and then he nibbled on the woman. And we learned that later that they were part of the KKK, because we can see they still have their little hat and cloak in the house. And I think it was sitting out because they were planning to join them, the next morning, when they were going to roll up on the old sawmill. Also this night, we get Sam's first night playing at the club. And I love this scene where we can see music and dance across time, because, he's opened up that portal.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
And then we see it open up the ceiling and the place burnt down, and the vampires walking up the road. And they can see straight through the building to all the people dancing inside. That's such a good scene.
It is.
So good.
And, I love how, from this point on, the main vampire, what is his name?
I can't remember what the main vampire's name is.
I think I wrote it down because I knew I would remember. Remick. I think this touches on the allegory of white people trying to suck the culture of others, or trying to when towards the end of the movie he's like, "I'm going to get everything you have," or something, and he's so after Sammy because he's got
the skill, music, the talent, the music.
Yeah.
But we also, I think he's also supposed to be Irish, because he also talks about how people took his land, because we also know that Irish and Italians weren't really accepted very well into the rest of white American culture at some points in history. So so he's an ally. That's why he's always talking about, "Come join us, come join our fellowship. We can fellowship together."
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about with Mary. She had some of that same rhetoric before the vampire came up, we're all humans. When the guy asked her, what are you? She was like, "A human." And we're all.
The sentiment is nice, but there's a difference.
Yeah.
Because if she was on that colored and white street, she'd be able to walk on over to that white street, no problem. And if one of them accidentally hurt her feelings or something in public, they would be attacked, not her. The sentiment is nice. We're all human,
and she was upset that they didn't give a gift to her mom or whatever. There was probably some issue with her current family or whatever.
Yeah, they probably rejected it.
Yeah. Or well, I don't think they did send anything,
because they did
but
say
it would cause issues.
Yeah, because they did say they sent her flowers when their mother was alive, and they couldn't when she died. Because we know it's not their feelings that's stopping them from sending the flowers.
Yeah, it's the fact that
and she can't see that there might be another issue.
Right. Yep.
Anyways, let's see. Oh yeah, and just like when we were talking about in the movie while we were there with all the singing, dancing, and sound design, it almost felt like we were in a musical. And also how some of the scenes were shot, like when they're just driving toward the camera, all sitting together. It feels like, you know, when you're in a play and they just have them like in a little fake car and they have like the scene moving behind them.
I was literally thinking like it felt like a play when like they were in that car and he was talking about the lynching or whatever. I was like, this feels like it was so good. Like I loved the storytelling.
So good.
Open air, the vampire showed up.
And then this silly nonsense they say trying to get in. They're like, so we can't get in because we're. What's she doing in there? They're like, Mary, she's family. And like, we can all be family. And then they start singing a little ditty. I know some people don't like country music, bluegrass, all that stuff, but like all the songs in this movie were so good, and the vocals on those vampires, real nice.
Like you could tell that it wasn't supposed to be bad. Like it was, they were talented.
Kind of like was it Charles Manson? He was a musician, and like some of his music still gets played today. And like people don't know.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
Because like it was used for a soundtrack, one of his songs. But yeah, he was like this welcoming figure because it was all very cult-like. Their language and like talking about fellowshipping and becoming one, and especially when like we see him later dancing, playing music, kind of like the Pied Piper, and he's doing his little Irish jig, and all the people are following along, and you know, very Pied Piper vibes. Even when Sam is playing like in the club, and we can see everything. I just love the element of how music can move you, lead you, you know.
Yeah, same. And I liked that element of like, since he was like what do you call him? The head vampire, like when they make descendants.
Not sire.
So yeah, sire. Since he was the sire, like he sort of had the new vampires in his with his same way of thinking, because he was like connected to them or whatever, like he knew everything about them at that point.
Because we can see it with the Asian family. What was her name? Grace? And when her husband is turned, the vampire shows up and he can speak his language. He knows everything that's happened between them. It was so disgusting to me.
And speaking about the Asians being a part of the Black community, her husband seemed more
involved with the Black community, and she was more. So when she ended up inviting them all in, I wasn't even surprised, because Smoke says, "I just need a minute to think," and she's like, "No," and whatnot, and then she's like, "Come on in," and then they have to defend themselves. I wasn't even surprised when she flipped.
I mean, she didn't flip; she was angry, but like, she
didn't think about anybody besides herself.
Yep.
I know she was worried about her daughter, but all the vampires are out right here.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to think about these other people too and their families. I love Anne being so resourceful and smart, because she's like in the little witchy Wiccan community. She knows about things that can go against the vampires. And then there's this moment after, because Stat does get turned by Mary, and he rushes outside or whatever, and they let everybody out before they think, oh yeah, we should have kept everybody inside.
But when he said everybody home, I was like, oh my God.
I was like, they're just gonna get turned when they leave. But yeah, pretty much a free for all once they're out the doors. But once they're in there, they're like, we have to figure out who among us might be a vampire. So eat a clove of garlic. And Perline, she was resistant. She was like, I don't really like the taste of garlic. Like, girl, eat the garlic. And then when she put it in, she's like twitching and stuff, like, girl, you get shot. You get shot playing around that you don't like the taste of garlic. And then the harmonica guy ate it, and he's like,
and he was like,
But it was just because he almost threw up all that alcohol and been drinking all night.
Better hurry up and tell us what's going on,
because you can get shot right in the face. And I like that they accidentally put some dude outside. They thought he'd been bit by the vampires, but he was just laying in what was a puddle of alcohol. But yeah, when they were like, oh yeah, we better go get him, cornbread. So, oops. I love the fight scene. I love the type of vampires that they are. They're the ones with all of their teeth are sharp.
Fight scene, which fight scene?
You know, when all the vampires come into the
Oh,
park.
all of them. Okay. All right, got it.
And we see Annie just toss somebody over her shoulder and just stake him through the heart. She was so good.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
but yeah, like the vampires are fast, but not super fast. And they're the type of vampires with all the multiple teeth. And I really liked Stack as a vampire because he's got grills. So his grills were like around his fangs. Ooh, so nice. There's a artist out there. Can y'all do some Louis de Pontelac art and Stack? I don't know, like, you know, do some art with them together. You know, something. I think it's Stack who bites Annie because they want everybody to be vampires because they're like, we can live together in harmony all together. But Annie's like, kill me before I turn so I can be with our baby. I got somebody waiting for me on the other side.
Yeah, and so Smoke honors that request. He kills Annie, and then both Mary and Stack are like, what you doing for?
We could have all been together, but he's like, I love her enough to kill her, but also we see later that he also loves Stack too much to kill him too. Because he's been protecting Stack all his life. Their father was abusive.
Oh, yeah. And Smoke is the one who killed their father in order to protect Stack.
He ends up not killing his brother after this big old battle. And we see that Sam he jumped out the window to be safe, but he hurt his leg a little bit, and Remick finds him, and they end up in the water together. And I love this baptism almost like scene where he's like dunking his head under the water. I know it's kind of like waterboarding, but it was, it's also like a baptism.
Yeah, and I love how Sammy starts praying and the vampire starts praying with him.
It's the Lord's Prayer, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's like, I get comfort from those words. And like he touched on how I hated the people who brought the religion over, but those words still give me comfort. And like I feel like if I went back to watch the movie, there would be I could pull more from the whole religion aspect, but yeah, I would have to go back and rewatch.
And I also like how in this moment we see that, because you know, even if you don't like agree with your parents' religion, we also see at the beginning of the movie he can read parts of the Bible without looking at it. He's got this thing memorized. But but religion didn't help him in this instance.
This movie, they don't have Christianity as like it doesn't hurt. It doesn't.
They weren't like,
it's not the saving
grace. They're not like saved by crosses stuck to the vampires. Music actually saved him because he whacked him with the guitar that Smoke and Stack had given him, and the iron plate came out, and
it was actually one of magic from her own culture that saved Smoke.
Magic and knowledge from her own culture. There are so many things that I be wanting to say about religion, because when I see Black people so deep in religion, and I'm like, this is the religion that they've used to justify you being slaves. This is the religion that they put on you when they took your language away. How can you be so involved in it? And also, you also use this religion to hurt people, because it's the religion that's like against LGBT. And like, if you have an LGBT son, you're gonna like follow this religion instead of holding on to your kid. There was a book that I read recently where the mom was really religious and she found out her kid was gay, so she sent him away to his uncle for a whole week. And then like at the end of the week, she realized that she loved her son regardless, but that damaged him for the rest of his life. Because, I'm about to get emotional. But yeah, anyway, we find out that the guitar saved him, and then Smoke comes up out of the water and he stakes the vampire in the back. The fire turning into a big...
loved it.
And then the sun coming up and like destroying all of the other vampires who were outside with him. But yeah, it's not like one of those vampire stories where the sire dies and all of the vampires died. Just the one who happened to be outside when the sun was up died. And we learned that Stack, who was still inside of the building where Smoke left him, he ends up living.
Yeah. And probably some of his the fact that he died allowed Smoke to not have that mind
controlling. Yeah. So now he's his own vampire. Yeah. Him and Marie.
Yeah.
Mary. Smoke sends Sam back home with his father. we saw them earlier having a conversation in the club about how Sam wanted to run away to maybe Chicago, and he's like, no, stay, play music for your father, like you use your music for religion and not this dangerous place that Chicago is. But when Sam goes home and we see the beginning of the movie again, and his dad is like, put down the sin, put down the guitar, come join us.
Sam can't do it. Like, he can't put down the guitar. Like, he loves music too much.
Yeah, he just loves it too much. And he shouldn't have to give that up for religion.
And, like, music wasn't the sin. Like you said, it was actually what saved them in the end. It was just like, it's how people use things. Again, like the double prayer, like Sammy was praying and then the vampire started praying. It's like, it's how you use it.
Yeah. Yeah, music is like a sort of saving grace in this movie. That's also why the harmonica player started humming after he told that horrible story about his friend dying in the train station. It's that painful, mournful, comforting hum that he does after. It's so good. And then we go back to Smoke's scene where we see him sitting on a box full of guns. And he's trying to roll a cigarette, but he fails. I feel like Stack was the one who always had the cigarettes, and they just like share them with each other. But we see him not able to roll a cigarette, and he takes off the little protection charm that Annie had given him. And
so
the white people roll up.
Ku Klux Klan comes and Smoke.
He's out of the because they said he was in the army, wasn't he?
It was when
he was a soldier boy.
Yeah, and it was when the Ku Klux Klan was trying to get into the bar and it was all locked up. I was like, oh yeah, Stack is probably still alive.
And so he's just like shooting them up from outside. He tosses a grenade into one of them's car, and there's one last man left crawling along the ground. And Smoke looks over and he can see Annie with their baby. And she's like, if you put down that cigarette, you can hold him because I don't want you to get smoke on the baby. So he puts the cigarette down, and that white man is still talking to him, so he shoots him up.
It's like, oh, I almost forgot. Like, let me do this before I die. He would have just stayed quiet. He probably would have been.
But he's out here trying to work out a deal, and he's like, I ain't got time for this. So he kills that man, holds his baby. And and he gets to be with Annie and his baby in the afterlife. And then the movie ends with Sam driving off into the sunset, and I was like, thank goodness he didn't give up his music.
Yeah.
And we find him as an old man playing in a guitar named not playing in guitar, but playing in a music joint named Perline. And when the bar is closing,
we get the reveal. Stack and Mary are still alive. Mary had run away after Annie was killed. She ran away into the dark somewhere, and I guess she holed up somewhere when the sun was up.
Yeah, and they're together forever now. And yeah, so they just have a little conversation. He's like, I can turn you so you can do this for the rest of your life. Keep playing in music joints. But he's like, I see enough. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't want to be here for too much longer.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good.
And Sammy says that night was the happiest night of his life before the sun went down.
Yeah, and Stack agrees. Yeah, that's a little bit. And they walk out, and
because that goes like that, and the whole building of the juke joint and then having it torn down in the same night is like a reflection of real history of when Black people would like build these cities to like be have their own businesses and all of this. Like, it would get
torn down and burned, taken down in order to build a highway in its place. Yeah. And we can see that in that show, what's it called? Lessons in Chemistry, where the Black people are trying to save their neighborhood. They're having all these meetings, and ends up, a road being built through. But yeah, that movie was so good.
It was so good.
So good. I loved every single minute of it.
Me too. Like, it definitely 10 out of 10. If you haven't seen it, go see it. And we do have to make sure, like, you're ready this one.
Yeah.
I still have to finish Nosferatu. I don't know.
Okay. And we watched Nosferatu 900 years ago. We just got to get it edited.
Yeah, just make sure to put that this is a spoiler review.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Spoiler review. One other scene that I didn't talk about that I really liked is when Cornbread is out, taking a pee, and we see fireflies flying around, and then we see the vampire's eyes, like in the dark, because they're kind of glow orange.
Oh, and I did see on Twitter that Ryan said he talked about the way he had the vampire's eyes glow. He got that inspiration from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish from Death.
So good. So good. Puss in Boots, that was such a good movie too.
Right.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 movies. But yes, that's it. And see y'all in our next review.
Bye.